Morning, Carolyn. So hello everybody this morning. Thanks so much for coming. Before the service starts, I just wanted to welcome our guests and of course welcome all of the Sangha here today. We're going to go ahead and start with the Kansho in just a minute or two. Kansho is the name for both the bell and the way it's rung. And for us, it's a chance to just settle down and listen to the bell. So that's our kind of meditation. And please enjoy the ringing of the Kansho. And thanks again for coming today. Take care. Namandap, 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 namandap.
Good morning and welcome to this morning service. Today's service is being chaired by the preschool to second grade class.
We have silent meditation.
If you would like, please put your hands together in Gassho or just rest them on your lap. And in this silent meditation, we'll enjoy the peace and calm of this temple. Decades of worshipers before us, and we hope decades of worshipers after us, all leading to this peace and calm.
Please rise for the reading of the golden chain, which can be found on page 90 of the service book.
Let them rise. Slowly. So if we could stay together with the reader, we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Golden chain. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will show you my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. My every link in Amida's golden chain of love, bright and strong, and we maintain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. With your loud voice, let's chant the Juseige, which can be found on page 35 of the purple service book.
Gagoncha segan ishimu jodo shigan fumanzo seifu joshoga gao muryoko fuidai seshu fusai shobingu seifu joshoga gashi jobundo shosho chojippo kukyo mishomo seifu joshoga ryokujin shonen jo eshu bongyo shuigu mujodo isho tennin shi jinriki endaiko fusho musaido shoujo sankumyo kosai shuyakuna kaiichi egen meshikomoa hisokusho akudo tsudanzen shumon kosojo manzo iyoro jippo ni 一願主樹期天候音符源一種解放像公式功徳法上大集中説法四式供養一切物具足習徳本願永心上満得意三害を女分無下地津断未不詳願学営利投資最小本志願や国家大戦を感動国使用天にとうち妙見ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭の本も大地お嬢合唱ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナマダブサマダブサマダブサマダブ。
We will now listen to a Dharma message given by Mr. Bill Teague.
Thank you, everybody. We have a beautiful day today. Lovely turnout, especially since people had to get up earlier than usual. You can say what you want about moving the clock forward, but sometimes our bodies don't always accommodate. So the fact that you were able to come today is really wonderful. Also, we're so grateful that our Dharma School class is chairing the service. In the adult Dharma talk, we'll talk a little bit more about how Renyu Shonin thought of old and young in our tradition. But for now, I just wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. Again, for our visitors, one of the things we do frequently is to recite the name of Amida Buddha. For us, Amida Buddha, in the Mahayana Sutras, a cosmic universal Buddha, a representation of many things, including the historical Buddha. So sometimes it's not always clear when we say the Buddha if we're talking about the historical Buddha or Amida Buddha, and at some level it's still okay because in our view, Amida Buddha represents all of the wonderful teachings of the historical Buddha. So for that reason, please join me in Gassho. That's the Japanese term for putting our hands together like this. And one hand is us. And one hand is the Buddha. So when you make this gesture, you're becoming one with Buddha. And then when we say a Buddha's name, we like to think that although it's our voice, it's actually the Buddha calling us. So even in saying the name, we're becoming one with Buddha. So we're going to do this a call and response form. And then after that, if you wish to go ahead and continue the recitation in your own speed, you're welcome to. So please bow your heads, palms together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, Samandab, Samandab. So thanks. Okay, so I know that the Dharma school is used to the Dharma leader or officiant checking on you to make sure you understand things, so they ask you questions. So we all know where Amida Buddha is on the altar, right? Yeah, in the middle. So, but there are two side altars, and I'll give you, you probably know this, but one is of Shinran Shonin, the founder of our sect, and one is of Renyo Shonin, sometimes called the second founder of our sect. These are honorific altars. We don't worship them in the same way we worship Amida Buddha, but we're very glad that they created this wonderful tradition for us. So here's the question. Is Renyo Shonin on the left or the right? 50-50 chance, you might as well guess. I see a hand over there. The right is always right as a right answer. But in this case, it's Shinran Shonin on the right. But you were probably talking about my right. So Renyo Shonin is to the left as you face the altar. And the portraits that we have are wonderful portraits, but they don't read very well from even a few feet away. That is, the lines showing the face are very fine brush strokes. So a little bit later, for the adult talk anyway, we'll take a closer look at Renyo Shonin, including how we think he looked. We'll take a look at some pictures up close. So that almost completes my Dharma message. There's two parts. The second part, though, has to do with Buddhist ideas of giving. So I'm going to pick, if I could impose on the young Mr. Schultz, and I'm not sure that Arturo is here, but we're trying to bring the Osaisen box up front down here. Would you mind just carting it over? Yeah, it's on rollers. It's pretty easy. Or Bob, if you wanted to help, that's fine too. So a few people in the temple suggested to me it might be good to talk about the Osaisen box. So I just wanted to bring it all the way over here. That's a beautiful place for it otherwise, but for demonstration purposes, yeah. Right over there, that's fabulous. Good. Okay, so in a minute I'm going to call all the Dharma School students forward so you can practice offering coins to the Osaisen box. I happen to have lots of coins in my pocket, so you don't have to have one in your pocket right now. But there's really something interesting about the Osaisen box, and that is that although we're very happy if people put lots of money in, it's the thought that counts. And some of you may know of a Chinese immigrant organization called Suchi, but they got started by a Chinese nun who wanted to go ahead and share the Dharma more, and she encouraged her friends, housewives, to save a little money if they could afford it, set aside a coin or two and just put them in an offering. And from her point of view, it wasn't a matter of writing a big check. It wasn't a matter of finding a big bill. It was just that little gesture. And I'm reminded that the founders of this temple back in the 1920s, donations were taken before it was built. In the meanwhile, from 1926, they rented a third floor of an industrial building downtown San Diego. It's now where the Albertsons is, I think. And these were folks who had very little money, new immigrants. There was anti-Asian sentiment. They didn't have the best paying jobs. It was hard to just put food on the table, and yet they found a coin. They would set aside some money. So when you, as a Dharma school student or an adult, come to the Osaisen box, just putting in a coin honors them. And it's not the size of the coin, or, Krugerrands are fine, but quarters are good too, even pennies are good too. So the idea in Buddhism is that instead of, how should I say this? We want to take advantage of every opportunity to show our gratitude for small things. So a small offering is okay. A small offering is nice. Okay? Before I call the Dharma school students so we can all practice offering, there is an issue among some adults about what to call this box. This says offering in a small attachment, and then down below the kanji are for osaisen. And I don't have a really good way to memorize osaisen. There are some things where it's so close, like maybe your parents tried to teach you to say doi tashimashite by telling you don't touch your mustache. So if you remember don't touch your mustache, then doi tashimashite is not so far off. Osaisen, the best I can come up with is o sai, send money. So that's my memory. But what some adults are concerned about, I think too concerned about, is that, osaisen is also what they call the offering boxes for Shinto shrines in Japan. It's an offering box. So we shouldn't call it that because we're not Shinto, They're okay, I understand that, but from my point of view, this was created by the founders of this temple. They found somebody who could paint kanji beautifully and put it on the front. So for me, Osaisen is a wonderful name, and it honors the folks who started this temple. However, if those same people get a hold of you or your parents, they might say, we should call it Juseige, because that implies a Buddhist offering. So if you want to remember Juseige, just think of a ugly old man who sits at the back of the temple and eyeballs everybody. His name is Jo, so Juseige, he's looking around like that. So that's my way to remember both the Osaisen box and the Juseige box, but the money all does get counted, does help support the operations of the temple. So could I ask all the Dharma school students to come forward? So go ahead and line up. No, you start here. People will line up behind you. So I'm going to give, bring the line around that way. No, you stay here. You're the first. You're first in line. So if you are following me, you know that the subtext of this talk is that it's not the amount, it's the heart with which you make the donation, okay? So, and it's fun because you can hear the coins go in. and it's not quite as nice as some of those gumball machines where you see the gumballs come out and roll around, but it's still fun, and Dharma school students should have fun if they want to do this. That's my point of view. So in this case, one of our Dharma school students has come prepared with a $1 bill, which is fabulous. We will never say no. The temple, we're always asking for money. It's bad, we're always begging. So, what you can do is stand directly in front of the Osaisen box, and it'll be usually at the entryway, so you can go ahead and then bow, put the money in the box. See, it slid right in, and then put your hands together in Kansho, and then bow again, a little deeper. And that's great. That's all you need to do, okay? So now I'm going to start giving people coins, and I want you to go back to the end of the line because you get a coin too, okay? End of the line? That's great. You're not supposed to bring bills up. This is all about coins. So I'll let you put the bill in, then I'll give you a coin, okay? Thank you. That's very nice. And now I want to show you can have a little more fun. Come over here. So this time, try and put the coin on its edge so it'll roll all the way down. It's kind of tricky, but you can try it. So you want to start right here. Okay? Makes a good sound, huh? Excellent. I'm sorry you don't have a close-up to show you. That was perfect. So, and then go ahead and bow one time. Just hands together. That's great. Thank you so much. You guys are good. Okay, don't forget to bow. Thank you. Oops. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you very much. You can see I'm not good with money. Please go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you. Here you go. The last inch. Very nice job. Here you go. Nice job. Here you go. Thank you. Here you go. Oh gosh, thank you very much. Oh, you have, okay. Thank you. Here you go. Ooh, nice roll. Ooh, good job. Thank you so much. Oh gosh, thank you. I didn't mean for everybody to bring their own money. Oh, nice. Nice, nice. Nice job. There you go. Thank you so much. Okay, you didn't get to use a coin before. You were just watching? Let's do a coin, okay, before you go. We started with you and we're ending with you, okay? Gosh, thank you so much. Give them a round of applause, everybody. So get used to the osaisen box. This is a lot better than some religious services where they pass around a collection plate and people are looking at you to see how much you put in. So no one's giving you any kind of eyeball here, except Juseige, I guess. But the only thing you need to remember is gratitude for the Buddha, gratitude for the teachings. Any small gift is okay. Any small gift is okay. It gives us a chance to express our gratitude. So if your parents don't know what to do with all the coins that they get in change if they're buying things with cash, some folks are still using cash, save it for here. We really appreciate it. And when you make that offering, you're doing so in the spirit of the folks who founded this temple, who literally built this temple from the pennies they saved, the nickels they saved, the dimes they saved during very difficult times. So this concludes my Dharma talk. I really appreciate your kind attention. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Teague. Thank you, Mr. Teague. Oh, it's for you. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Teague.
Teague.
Forgiving today's Dharma talk. Forgiving
Forgiving
today's Dharma talk.
today's
Dharma.
Dharma talk.
Please rise
Please rise
to recite
to recite
the loving kindness meditation
the loving kindness meditation
on page 94.
on page 94.
We're going to do this together. Ready? Loving kindness meditation.
Loving kindness meditation.
May all
May all
beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulty come to them. May they live in peace and harmony.
Namo Abhidabatu. Namo Abhidabatu. Namo Abhidabatu.
Please remain standing.
Please remain standing
To
to say Gatha.
a special place. A special place.
A special place
Page 100.
on page 100. Thank you. You may be seated. Today we will be celebrating Mark's birthdays. Please come forward and do a shoko if you have a Mark's birthday. Please.
You can wait till they come up. Any March birthdays? There they come. So you're going to go over there and ask them to say their name and their birthday. Okay, get down. After they step, they're going to get all in the line. Yes. Oh, stay up. Stay up. Stay up. We're going to sing happy birthday. Okay, ask them to say your name and your birthday.
My name is Paulina and the 28th.
My name is Benjamin, and my birthday's on the 24th.
My name is Norman. My birthday is on the 4th.
March 4th.
My name is Surya. My birthday is on the 19th of March.
My name is Roger, and I was born on the 12th.
I am Andrew, and I was born on the 2nd.
I'm Bill, and I followed Roger by a day, the 13th.
Will.
We're going to sing Happy Birthday, Dharma Friends. You may get a gift.
From the Dharma School.
At this time, does anyone have announcements?
That's right, Mr. Greg. You have to order one of our t-shirts. Okay, so this is a reminder that our Junior YBL Southern District Obon t-shirt is currently on sale until April 26th. T-shirts are available or will be available at the end of May, and we have sizes small to extra, extra large. They're $20, so see a junior if you're interested. And I say this every week, but you should buy it because I designed it. So please, guys, San Diego represent, please. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Good morning. Next Sunday will be the last Sunday that you could bring in items for our food drive, but we're also having the collection on March 22nd. March 22nd is a Saturday. It'll be a drive-through food drop-off supporting the San Diego Food Bank. It's a semi-annual Neighbor Helping Neighbor interfaith food drive. And this year, part of the proceeds are going to be donated to the LA Food Bank to help people affected by the wildfire. So if you can remember, just like you had to remember to set your clock back this morning, which some of us did not, we would really appreciate your bringing in some goods, or if you want to make a monetary donation, you can do so. We'll give you a receipt for the San Diego Food Bank. Thank you.
Good morning. Who likes camping? Raise your hand. I'm advertising the Dharma School, as I think Lisa announced last week, is planning a camping trip Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, Laguna Mountains. What's the name of the campsite? Anyway, we'll have fun, and it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. You don't have to camp all night, but we have those dates available. She sent an email out, and we'll continue to, and soon expect to get, we're looking for volunteers for food. We'll have some menus and all that stuff. And also, not just Dharma School. So if any adults want to come, we welcome you. So if you have any questions, talk to myself or Lisa when you see her. Thank you.
Good morning. For those that don't know me, I'm Kurt Yasuhara, and we're putting together a cookbook for the 100th anniversary, and I've been getting some great recipes. I could always use a little bit more. So thank you for those family recipes or the recipes that mean something to you. I'm just up here just reminding those or introducing myself to those that don't know. So please continue or send me your recipes. Thank you.
Hi, two quick announcements. One is that we're having the English tea. This is the Buddhist Women's Association. This will be our second, maybe annual English tea. We haven't decided yet, but it's going to be on May 3rd. It's a Saturday, and it'll be $50 this time. And this time it's a fundraiser for the 100th anniversary of the temple for 2026. Anyway, so we're the money will go toward renovation of the annex, social hall, and classrooms. So I hope you can join us for that. You do need to sign up, though. Please look on the website or downstairs in the office. The other announcement is we'll be having a sushi workshop. If you're interested in learning how to make the sushi rolls, the maki sushi, we'll be having a workshop on May 17th. It's a Saturday, day before Gotane. So please sign up for that. Also, let Junko or me know about that. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Dharma School and Sangha friends are all invited. All of you are invited to Vista. All of you are invited to Vista, our neighbors, to the North Vista Buddhist Temple on next Sunday, March 16th. So please,
No, sorry, the 23rd.
23rd.
Yeah. So they may plan.
Please sign up in the office today.
So Vista Buddhist Temple is inviting all of us to visit them. That's in 2 weeks on the 23rd. So please sign up. There's a sign-up sheet in the office. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see so many people out for service today. Next month is Hanamatsuri, Sunday, April 13th. And after Hanamatsuri, we will be having our 3rd annual Tostada Bingo Fiesta fundraiser. So, and it's for the entire Sangha. The donation is $13 for adults and $6 for children 12 and under, and that will include tostadas and all the fixins, dessert, beverages, and at least 5 games of bingo. So if you'd like to sign up, there's for the event, there's a sign-up sheet downstairs, and we'll be taking reservations at least through the 6th. And then the net proceeds from the event will benefit the Southern California Wildfire Relief Fund that was set up by the BCA, and for the temples that were affected by the wildfires at Pasadena, Venice, and West LA temples. Okay, thank you.
This concludes our service for today. Thank you to Mr. Teague officiating today's service and for giving the Dharma message. We appreciate peace, miss and all, for playing the organ. We are grateful to Mr. Brevin Honda and Mr. Ken Baroka
And Mr. Cheeks. And Mr. Ricky Cheeks. Mr. Cheeks. And Mr. Cheeks. Mr. Ricky.
Mr. Ricky Cheeks.
For leading the live stream.
For leading the live stream.
Thank you to our ministerial assistants for setting up the Onaijin. And thank you.
Thank you
to our Dharma school teachers.
To our Dharma teachers.
Dharma school teachers.
Dharma school teachers.
We appreciate your attendance.
We appreciate your attendance.
And see you next week.
And see you next week.
The Dharma school students.
The Dharma school students may do Oshoko
and are dismissed.
And
are dismissed.
I just missed to walk to their classes.
Do you want your, I don't know if you do or not. There, I can be tall. We will now begin the adult service, and we will start with the Vandana and Tisarana, which can be found on page 96. And everybody start at the top where it says leader, because you're all leading.
Thanks, Kaytee. This is a San Diego tradition that we started some years back. This is an ancient chant. It dates from the time of the Buddha. So if you had your time machine, you could go back 2,500 plus years and hear people chanting this. We believe even to the same tune. There's variations, of course. But Vandana Tisarana, the first is praise of the Buddha. The second are the three treasures of Buddhism. Some of you may know them as the three gems. But regardless, that last part is our commitment to be a Buddhist. So we're so grateful we get to do this at almost every service. So please join me as soon as you hear my voice, and we'll begin. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kiebutsu. Namo Kie-ho. Namo Kie-so. Namo Amidabutsu.
Namo Amidabutsu. Namo Amidabutsu. Namo Amidabutsu. And now, Mr. Bill will give us the Dharma message.
Thank you for your patience. We have a little bit of technology I'm just going to be playing with. So today we will be talking about Renyo Shonin. I wanted to choose this topic because although we have a pretty full calendar during the year with special services, we actually do not do a separate service, a dedicated service to Renyo Shonin. And so sometimes he doesn't get the attention that we should be giving to this remarkable person. A person who overcame personal tragedy and in a time of great turmoil managed to set the path that our tradition is on today. So I am going to go ahead then and ask you to put your hands together in Kansho. The teaching of Shinran Shonin in our tradition is not primarily that you should renounce the world and awaken the Bodhi mind, or leave home and abandon worldly desires, but simply that in settling the entrusting heart of other power through taking refuge in Amida in a single thought moment, there is no distinction between men and women, old and young. This comes from the very first letter in the collection of letters of Renyo, the Gobunsho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Samada. So we'll talk a little bit more about that quotation towards the end. But I'm so glad you folks were able to come here today. And in most folks' mind, we associate Buddhas with bliss and assume that they lived in a time of bliss. In our tradition, our three main spiritual figures of history, not counting Amida Buddha beyond history, but in history, are the historical Buddha, Shinran, and Renyo, all of whom are represented on our altar here. So surely they must have lived lives of bliss, but maybe not. Shakyamuni Buddha, many of you know his story. Just focusing on after his enlightenment, his cousin tried to hijack his Sangha, his own family. Moreover, the same cousin tried to have him murdered. And this was all in a period of great civil war. India was not a unified country. It was a collection of what we might even call city-states, all vying for power, all with their own armies, constant warfare. Shinran Shonin. Many of us know his story better, but he was exiled from Kyoto. He was defrocked because the powers that be did not like the growing popularity of his tradition. His own teacher, Honen, also exiled, defrocked. Several teachers in this tradition were actually executed. A very tough time. And although Shinran was exiled to Echigo away from the capital, even so, it was a time of civil war where warring clans were vying for power in an uncertain political environment. And that brings us to Renyo, and some of us may or may not remember, but he took over the Honganji tradition when it was failing financially. We know Honganji today in Kyoto as a very large property. It appears to be prosperous. Many people come, make donations, and that was not what the Honganji was like that Renyo inherited. It was in hard times. It was facing hard times. The building was in disrepair. The finances were a mess. It was really in decline tremendously from the first period of enthusiasm after Shinran's daughter Kakushini created the mausoleum that became Honganji. And also it was a time of great civil and religious war. So in the comments to the video of this on YouTube, I've included links to two websites that are very helpful. One of them comes from Higashi Honganji's USA site. They do a very good job of talking about Renyo, so I'm just going to go ahead and share a couple of slides from their presentation before adding some comments. But it's really interesting, and I learned a lot just visiting that site. So these paragraphs come from Shinran to the Rescue, which is an essay written by Reverend Ken Yamada at the Shinshu Center of America, which is sort of the educational branch of Higashi Honganji. Although considered the second founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, Renyo Shonin shaped foremost how Shinshu is practiced today. Moreover, living in a turbulent era of civil unrest, religious persecution, and social upheaval, he literally saved the Honganji temple from the flames of war and conflict. Shinshu's first founder, Shinran Shonin, famously declared he had no disciples and had not started a new Buddhist denomination. Only later did his descendants establish a temple devoted to his teachings. 150 years later, Renyo, who lived from 1415 to 1499, withstood violent attacks and persecution and built the temple into a major and national religious institution in Japan. Today, the how and where Shinshu is practiced are thanks largely due to Renyo. Our temples exist because of the organizational foundation he laid 600 years ago. He started the tradition of chanting Shoshinge, Shinran's verses summarizing Pure Land teachings. This is an aside, but we are working to resuscitate the tradition of chanting the Shoshinge here at the temple on every 16th of the month, because that's Shinran's anniversary date. His letter of, I'm so sorry. This is Renyo now. He stressed the importance of Hoonko services, which is Shinran's memorial. His letter, White Ashes, is traditionally read at funerals and memorials. We recite Namo Amida Butsu because Renyo chose a 6-character representation, and this was over other Nembutsu expressions used by Shinran. So we take it for granted and may think that even in Shinran's time they were reciting Namo Amida Butsu. It was a slightly longer call to Amida Buddha. So Renyo was a blood descendant of Shinran. Renyo was born in Kyoto at the Honganji Temple, and when we say, this is another aside, but when we say Honganji Temple, it's not the current temple location, the large campus, the large piece of property I talked about earlier. The Honganji Temple had fallen on hard times and disrepair. He became the temple's 8th abbot. Charismatic and personable, he began growing the Sangha and the temple's economic base, which incurred the wrath of the older Japanese temples. They didn't like it. In 1465, Mount Hiei's warrior monks marched to Kyoto and burned down that temple that was the basis of Jodo Shinshu, forcing Renyo to flee for his life. This was not the first armed attack. Eventually, Renyo moved to Japan's eastern seaboard and established a temple at Yoshizaki, present-day Fukui Prefecture. There, Jodo Shinshu spread throughout the countryside, where even today, Shinshu remains a dominant presence. So I'm diverging now. These are just some summaries. The essay goes on, but I'm also pulling from a website that is listed in the notes to this video, but it is, I'll just mention the name, it's jodoshinshu.faith. That is the folks who sell URLs, domains, decided they would get a lot of business if they also had a .faith designation. So there's jodoshinshu.faith. It's run out of Canada. It's very orthodox. You'll never read anything there that is not pure within the Jodo Shinshu tradition or doctrine, but it's a little odd that they don't say who they are. I personally believe it's an employee of an organization who didn't want to get into trouble, so that part is anonymous, but the content, I can tell you, is very good. So we're going to talk just a little bit about Renyo's upbringing, which was especially tragic, I believe. Renyo's father was Zonyo, who was the 7th Gomonshu. Gomonshu can be translated as head priest of our tradition, but actually, literally, it's gatekeeper. And it dates back to the time when Shinran's daughter created the mausoleum that eventually became a temple. People kept coming to pay their respects in front of Shinran's ashes, and they began to go ahead and reiterate Shinran's teachings. And that was the start of Honganji. Because it was a temple ground, it had a gate, and the person who in charge eventually was given the title Gomonshu. Later on, if you look up at the far wall above the double doors, you'll see a photograph of the current Gomonshu, Kojun Otani. But the thing that they don't say explicitly in every quick summary of Renyo's upbringing is that his mother was not married to Zonyo. That is, that Renyo was a blood relative with lineage all the way back to Shinran. But they never use words like illegitimate, but I'm sure it was not completely accepted. Renyo's mother was a maid who worked for Renyo's grandmother, or Zonyo's mother. And then later, Zonyo married Nyoen, so it was a formal marriage. And as a result, especially after the stepmother had children with Zonyo, including a son, whom Nyoen considered to be Zonyo's legitimate successor, Renyo's mother was ordered to leave the Honganji temple. And at this time, Renyo was 6 years old. Imagine having your mother asked to leave, and she just wasn't asked to leave, communication was not continued. But the main event of Renyo's life, and perhaps the start of his spiritual career, was that before she left, his mother expressed her wish to the young boy that he would restore the tradition of Master Shinran. So it wasn't just the physical and economic condition of Honganji that was in trouble, it was actually the tradition, because many people had their own ideas. You know what it's like. Often somebody will find an ideology and go ahead and adapt it to the way they want it to read. So there was not a lot of consistency with what people believed Shinran had taught. Most tragically, when his mother left, that was the last time he saw her. He continued to search for her throughout his adult life and never found her. Today, we don't know where she went, where she was sent. We don't even know her name. So some of you know that the BWA holds memorials twice a year. BWA is the Buddhist Women's Association, identifying important women in the development of Jodo Shinshu. They rightly focus on some very famous women, but we can also include Renyo's mother, this unnamed servant who had the horrible situation of being told to leave her son behind, and who, instead of urging Renyo to revenge her or to make a stink, she sincerely wished that he continued Shinran's teachings. So that's pretty heavy in my view. Now, I mentioned that the lovely pictures of Renyo and Shinran are a little hard to read from a distance. So I found a couple of things where there were more paintings, there was more color, just to show that they certainly are convincing that there probably was a good understanding among the artists as to what Renyo looked like. So here in these two images you'll see these were obviously from his later years, but he has a sort of squat head. It's a little flat on top. And if you look close, it's even, I had to zoom these in, and I'm sorry they're starting to get pixelated, but you can see that he also had bags under his eyes, but he had a calm demeanor. And one more image of of Renyo, is on the grounds of Osaka Castle or Osaka-jo. Now, some of you have visited Japan. You might not have been a tourist in Osaka, but the Shinkansen passes this beautiful white building. That's Osaka-jo. That's the Osaka Castle. But that was built after Renyo died. Renyo, at one point, had to move the temple from Yoshizaki, where it was built a little bit like a fortress, but was finally overcome, to Osaka, where the rivers formed a natural boundary, and it was much easier to protect militarily. So in both Yoshizaki and Osaka, Shinran had to contend with armed attacks on the temple because of the disfavor that the establishment had with this upstart Jodo Shinshu. And here we see a younger Renyo in this statue, and notice that it's a much more dynamic statue. The sculptor, and this is true in other statues of Renyo of the time, including one at Yoshizaki, have a rather dynamic hang to them, almost as though he's still in action, or at least he's facing a wind. You can see how open the bottom of his robe is, as though it's catching the wind. So I did want to share my thoughts on Renyo and why I think it's important that we remember him, especially today, because he lived through difficult personal conditions. And some of you I know have had to live through difficult conditions. It's not always a bed of roses. We are very dedicated to family here, to parents and children, but sometimes it's not a happy family. Sometimes parents are not perhaps behaving as they should. And Renyo operated in a period of political turmoil and actual violence. To me, that has resonance with what we may be on the edge on, but where the country is basically divided. And it's a rhetorical battle and a political battle now. But even on January 6th, was it, or 7th, we saw political violence. So it's a reminder that the spiritual teachers that we turn to have lived through what we're living through. And yet they were able to go ahead and maintain a spiritual path. An important feature of Shinran, as identified in the Higashi Honganji article, is that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Renyo, because he restored the center of the institution of Jodo Shinshu. He found a way to get popular support so that it could be continued, that it wasn't a starvation kind of institution that he inherited. And he also restored Shinran's teachings to the center of the personal lives of the followers. And I think that's why he was successful. He didn't just say, well, Shinran said, this is the doctrine, let's all read the doctrine, let's try to understand it, let's try and live it. Renyo was able to connect the teachings of Shinran to the way we live our lives today. It was a tremendous effort, and he persevered. Both Shinran and Renyo lived a long life, but I think Shinran lived into his 90s, Renyo lived into his 80s. And he wasn't the Gomonshu until he was 42. So he did all of this in the second half of his life, about the first half of his life before he was Gomonshu, the second half of his life after he was Gomonshu. In 42 years, he restored Jodo Shinshu to life and vibrancy and to meaningful participation in people's lives. I believe that's because Shinran, I'm sorry, I keep on saying Shinran, because Renyo found a balance between political and spiritual, or practical and spiritual. And that's what we have to do. Our retired former minister, Kenji Akahoshi, Reverend Dr. Kenji Akahoshi, would always tell us about balance. So this is where the teaching of the middle path is useful. We can't just be one or the other in this world of samsara. We have to decide where between those two extremes, practical considerations, spiritual considerations, how we live our lives in the present moment. And Renyo had messages that resonated with people, very sympathetic. It's hard to read the Epistle on White Ashes that's read at funerals without being moved deeply. So this is the end of the slideshow. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect now because I don't have a more elegant way of stopping the TV screen. But I did want to spend a few minutes on the reading that I gave at the beginning. Thank you for your patience. Because it has several components to it. We're not going to go ahead and bow our heads and listen to it just yet. We may do that at the end. But just to listen, this is the very first paragraph from the first epistle in the Gobun Sho, in which Renyo tries to tell people what Shinran's teachings were all about. And it is not what you expect. He says some things that may not be as easily understood. But here's what he says. The basic teaching of Shinran Shonin in our tradition is not primarily that you renounce the world and awaken the Bodhi mind, or leave home and abandon worldly desires, but simply that in settling the entrusting heart of other power through taking refuge in Amida in a single thought moment, there is no distinction between men and women, old and young. So what he is saying here is that we are all spiritual beings. When we interact with Amida Buddha, we share the Buddha mind, even for a thought moment. And in that thought moment, we are all equal. In the Metta Sutta, or the Loving Kindness Sutra we recited, we even wish our enemies happy and well, that no harm or difficulty come to them, and that they may live in peace and harmony. That is in the spiritual moment, where there is no good or bad. Things just are. And in the context of today's service, there's no distinction between old and young. Whenever I hear people talk about the Dharma school as being the future of the temple, if I find it inappropriate, I'll add the thought that they're the current reality of the temple. You know, they are fellow travelers on the Nembutsu path, like you and me. So we need to respect children. And of course, the sad history of the United States in terms of misogyny, violence against women, or undercutting women, which the Buddhist Women's Association is very familiar with and counteracts with its services, talking about the women who made a difference in Jodo Shinshu. In that thought moment that we're together with Amida Buddha, when we are able to share Amida Buddha's mind, even briefly, there's no difference between men and women in our carnality. That's our spiritual reality. This is important on a small doctrinal point that some of you may have heard, that originally the Buddhist doctrine in the Buddha's time was very patriarchal. And there's even sutras that say to become a Buddha, you have to be male. You have to be a man. That was sidestepped and dodged by Shinran, who said that, well, of course, as a follower of Jodo Shinshu, when you go to the Pure Land, women become men. So I don't think that he meant that as doctrine. I think he meant that as a way to shut those people up who were incorporating misogyny in Buddhist sutras. That's a personal point of view, but the point here is that when Renyo decided, what can I say to help people understand and appreciate Shinran's teaching, that's what he came up with. There are references to things that some of our visitors may or may not know. Other power just means that instead of you relying on your own efforts to become awakened, you rely on the efforts of the universe. That is, that you have a natural place in the universe. The tendency in the universe is to help you become awakened. Ideally, when we recite Namo Amida Butsu, we're becoming one with Amida Buddha. We're having that thought moment in which we transcend the limitations, the dualistic limitations of the world of samsara. And my understanding of the theory behind recitation of the Nembutsu is that we're slowly being conditioned to be less egoistic, less egotistic. We can't live in this world of samsara without having an ego, without looking out for number one. But we can soften the edges of the ego. We can soften the hold the ego has on us and try and find that middle path between practicality and spirituality. Or another way of looking at it is the middle path between wisdom and compassion. It's compassionate to give all your money away to the first person you meet. It's not necessarily wise. It might be wise to go ahead and never give to charity so you can build up a legacy for your children, but it may not be compassionate. Those are not easy answers. And the Buddha wanted us all to find our own path between those extremes. So we can take a look at the extremes of the middle path as wisdom and compassion, or as practicality and spirituality. But that's what it is to be human. There is a tradition in Buddhism that only humans can become Buddhas, even though all sentient beings have Buddha nature. Humans are the only sentient beings that need to become a Buddha in that line of thinking. Most of the other sentient beings already exist in that kind of spiritual state. They just are. It's our complicated brains with various influences pushing us, pulling us, leading us to indecision, trying to help us figure out what the heck we're going to do. That's what it is to be human. And we can take refuge in the fact that in our tradition, our ability to become a Buddha is assured. There's doctrinal stuff I won't get into now, but the idea is that once we go ahead and recite the name of Amida Buddha, we're on the spiritual path. No backsliding. We'll always be moving forward. And in our tradition, all humans are on the spiritual path. The person standing up here in a robe is no higher or lower than all of you. We are all on that spiritual path, and at least we're able to get together and enjoy each other's company for social sustenance in that process. So anyway, I really wanted to thank you for letting me talk quite a long time, I'm afraid, about Renyo Shonin, but we don't hear about him all that much, and I think there are many spiritual lessons to be learned from his example. So for that purpose and in that thought, could you please put your hands together in Gassho? We'll listen to his reading one more time. The basic teaching of Shinran Shonin in our tradition is not primarily that you should renounce the world and awaken the Bodhi mind, or leave home and abandon worldly desires, but simply that in settling the entrusting heart of other power through taking refuge in Amida, in a single thought moment, there is no distinction between men and women, old and young. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Thank you very much.
Could everybody please stand for the Gatha Ondoksan, which can be found on page 128 of the service book? Nyorahai dai hino ondoku wa miyoko ni shite mo hozu beshi shishu shishiki no ondoku mo hone o kurakite mo chiasu beshi. You may be seated for final music meditation.
The 4 reliances. First, rely on the spirit and meaning of the teachings, not on the words. Second, rely on the teachings, not on the personality of the teacher. Third, rely on real wisdom, not on superficial interpretation. And fourth, rely on the essence of your pure wisdom mind, not on judgmental preoccupations. Kansho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
This concludes the adult portion of the service, and thank you to Ann Ong for playing our music accompaniment, and once again to Bill Sun, who is the certified minister's assistant who led the service today. And thank you all for coming. You may come up and offer incense, and then there is hospitality down in the dining area, I guess it's called now, of the new kitchen. So it concludes. And if you have any questions, Bill will be here to try to answer them for you.
But that one has, I mean, that one's not just all Buddhist. It has, it's all kind of Japanese traditions in it.